Hello and welcome to Todd Talk, where insight meets inspiration. I'm your host, Todd Hiller, and I'm an author, speaker, and longtime community leader, here to guide you on a journey towards fulfillment and balance. In every episode, we'll explore ways to fill life's emptiness, helping you uncover practical tools to create harmony, purpose, and happiness. Whether it's thriving in your career, nurturing personal growth, or simply finding joy in the everyday, Todd Talk is your space for real conversations and actionable advice. So let's thrive together, personally, professionally, and beyond. This is Todd Talk, and I'm thrilled to have you here.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to Todd Talk. I'm so glad to have you here today, as always, as every day. This morning, I was standing in my front yard with a hot cup of coffee. I was on the porch just kind of looking out at things, and I noticed something, and it stopped me for a second. The air was crisp. There was that unmistakable October chill. The sunshine was that golden color that happens when it's at that real low angle, shining through a bunch of brightly colored leaves. I mean, it was just a spectacular morning. But I realized that when I looked out across the yard, most of the trees in the front yard had lost their leaves. They had all fallen. And as I looked at the edge of the yard, past the stone wall and kind of the trees that line up to, the edge of my yard, and as well as the ones that line up the edge of my driveway, I realized something. I could see a lot further than I could a month ago. The leaves, the undergrowth, the brush, all of it had thinned out, and suddenly I had this new view. I could see further into the tree line. I could see a little further past where the grass where I mow is a yard. And all of a sudden I had this thought, and it struck me, everything had thinned out, and suddenly I said, that's a really great metaphor for seasons of change within our own life, because I know sometimes we hold on to things just because they've always been there, right? We hold on to habits, we hold on to relationships, we hold on to responsibilities, beliefs, even the old version of ourselves, we cling to it. And we don't want to let it go. We can't get rid of it. We say, hey, this has to stay forever. We have to keep this. We have to leave this alone because it's always been this way. It's always been the way we've done things. But here's the really hard part, is we have to learn that it's okay to let go of those things sometimes. Because just like the trees in my front yard, there comes a time when we have to let things fall away. Right? They shed their leaves in the fall this time of year in New England, and sometimes we as people have to let things fall away. But the difficult part is letting go never looks graceful when it's happening until you watch leaves fall from the sky, or until you realize that when things fall away, it makes room for some really beautiful things, and we can see a lot further within our own lives, within our own potential, than we could before. So when trees lose their leaves, right, they look a little bare for a while. We kind of look at them and say, oh, well, they're not really that pretty anymore because all the leaves are gone. The ground gets messy. People have to, clean up their leaves. They blow their leaves. They mow them. They mulch them. It's this endless battle. Everybody in New England knows, or any place that the leaves fall, really. You clean up your leaves. You get your lawn all taken care of. 4 days later, right, same old story in October. You're right back to having the lawn covered in leaves. And it's this never-ending battle until they all fall and winter rolls around. But, there's a quote that I love that says, the trees are about to show us how lovely it is to let the dead things go. Or there's a version also that says, the trees are about to show us how lovely it is to let go of something, or let go of things. And that's exactly what, obviously, nature does every year. That's exactly what we as people can do when the time comes. But I think sometimes we fight it. We don't want to let go because we're like, well, I don't want to lose this thing, or we've always done this, or I've always been stuck in this one thing. I can't let it go. I can't get rid of it because, then what? But sometimes releasing that part of us, or stepping away from those things in our life, or letting those things fall away, means, one, that we get to grow, and it also brings about such a sense of clarity. Because when I stood in my front yard 2 months ago, and everything was full, lots of leaves, lots of undergrowth, lots of pricker bushes, lots of brush, lots of everything, I could only see to where I mow, to the edge of the grass. That's all I could see. Everything else was I couldn't see through it. It was just, forest. So all that being said, now when I look out there, I can see further. I can see things I couldn't see before. And this is the thing that struck me about us as people, is that when you let go of things, or when you let things fall away that it's no longer the season for, and you let go of those certain parts of ourselves, or certain people, or certain commitments in our lives, when you let go of those things, that's when the clarity shows up. Because now you can see further into your future. You can see more clearly about the things all around you. Sometimes there could be things right in front of your face, and everybody else is like, wow, like, why can't they see that? Like, that's right in front of them. It's obvious. You know how sometimes in a movie, like we're watching a movie and happen, and you're screaming at the main character, like, it's right there, or it's this person, or this is the bad guy, or whatever it is. You know, we're screaming and hollering because we can see it, and we know full well what's going on, but the person on screen seems to be oblivious. Sometimes in life, we are just like that. Sometimes in life, you know, we can't see the hand in front of our face, so to speak. But when things fall away, when the leaves are gone, so to speak, when things get more clear, we have the ability to see what's right in front of us and also further into the future of what's around us. When you let go of things, you make room for new things in your life. And it's really important to do that because if you don't let them fall away, you're not going to be able to see them or see them as clearly as you can when you make room for that change to happen. And right along with seeing into the future, right along with, you know, that clarity that comes when we release old expectations or we get rid of grudges or obligations that aren't serving us anymore, then suddenly we get a whole lot of clarity about what matters most and what's actually out there waiting for us. Because if you countlessly and over again, countless times, spend your energy on the things that you've always spent your energy on, that's great if you enjoy them, and if they still serve you. That's fantastic. Having a sense of rhythm and routine in your life is beautiful. It can make people very happy because we are creatures of habit. But when you let go of the things that don't serve you anymore, and you let go of the obligations or the expectations of other people or the expectations of other people that they're going to show up for you in this big way, when you let go of that, then you can say, you know what, now I can actually see what's truly going on in my life. I can see who's actually going to show up for me. I can see what I actually want to spend my time doing. You know, and that's not something we can rush. It's something we recognize when the noise kind of settles down. So I saw the trees and the leaves had fallen. I was able to recognize it because the leaves had physically fallen out of the way. But you have to let that happen as a person, too. You have to let the noise settle down, or you have to take a good hard look of what actually needs to be pulled away from your life. And then once you let it fall away, then take a good hard look and say, hey, look, now we can look beyond where we're standing. Now we can look further than we could see before. We can see what's out there, what's waiting. And now this might be kind of scary because we might say, well, you know what, if I let go of all this stuff in my life, then what? And this happened to me when I started my burnout recovery journey, walking back from that place of being super busy. Part of me said, well, what am I going to do when I get rid of all these commitments on my plate, when I leave all these organizations, when I take a step back, when I resign, when I step down, when I'm no longer an officer, all these different things? Part of me thought, well, now what? You're going to just stay stuck in the corner of this guy who does nothing with his life? That's not going to be good for you, Todd. Like, you're going to be a sorry excuse for a human being, Hiller. Like, you have to have purpose. You have to have motivation to do something. And then I said, well, maybe I shouldn't resign. Maybe I should. Maybe I shouldn't take a step back. Maybe I should. Maybe I'll just get rid of one thing instead of a bunch. Like, am I really too busy? And this was just all this back and forth journey, and taught me so many things about burnout recovery, about becoming better, becoming a better person, being more balanced, doing things that you actually like to do, spending your time on things that make you happy and feel fulfilled. But I did have that moment of hesitation of what's going to be left of me if I take away all of this stuff that's been, that I say is no longer serving me. If I cut away all the dead stuff, then what am I left with? I don't want to be just this single individual trunk of a tree with no branches. I don't want to cull away every single part of me that I've been, had going on in my life. And I had to take a pause and realize that my story and my life and my building new things didn't end when I stepped back from things, because new growth will come. Your story doesn't end when you pull things away. Your story doesn't end when you let go of those commitments and those grudges. Because if we stop in the middle of the fall season, right? If the trees just lost their leaves and nothing ever happened again, they stayed that way forever, they would be barren for the rest of time and eternity. And obviously that's not the case. And just like that, when you pull dead things away from yourself, or you get rid of unnecessary or unneeded things and obligations and expectations and grudges and all those things I mentioned, when you get rid of those, it doesn't mean they're just going to stay gone forever. Well, they should stay gone forever. You don't want the things that no longer serve you to creep back into your life. I've said that in an episode before too. Don't replace one set of busy and, overwhelming obligations for another set of busy and overwhelming obligations that are just different but make you feel the same. But when you let go of all those things and you have that release and that time of clarity and you can see further into the woods and you can see all the things around you and you can see your potential and your possibilities and what you want your future to look like and maybe a more clear idea or a more clear path how to get there, you just have to pause and wait and say, okay, now all these things have gone away, but if I give it a beat and I give it some time, when spring rolls around, the trees grow new leaves, and so too will we have the ability for new growth. New things will pop up in our life. We will find new things to spend our time on. Hopefully you find things that you enjoy much more than those old obligations you got rid of. And when you take those and you have made room for them, then you can let them start growing. Branches on trees automatically in the spring will start to bud. You can't stop them. It's not like you can say, hey, tree, you dropped your leaves and got rid of them, so I want you to stay like that forever because, you just have to keep on living like that with nothing else in your life to give. You just have to be this bare trunk with not one green leaf on it anywhere. Just the same, people will always, as we march forward, we will be exposed to new things. We will meet new people. We will see new videos or ideas on social media. We will form new relationships and new friendships. Sometimes we'll get a new job. And when we do those things, then the opportunity for growth is there, and it can be really big and beautiful growth, or it can be really slow and steady growth. Both of them are fine, and anything in between in the middle. But the idea is, before the new growth shows up, the old stuff has to fall away. The old stuff has to get taken out and fall to the ground just like the leaves do. The trees won't just grow new leaves spontaneously on top of the other ones. Once the leaves are there, they are there. They have to fall away first. The tree needs to take a step back just like you do and look and say, okay, this is the time I'm going to figure out what I want to do and what I want to spend my energy on. And then going forward, I will grow. I will make room for new growth. And if you think, I know it's crazy sometimes because we're like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to spend my time on. I'm not going to be busy anymore. I'm not going to have things that will just like pop up for me to spend my time on. I'm not going to have new things that interest me. Life is going to be so dull if I let go of all this old stuff. But I promise that's not the case. We as people and social creatures living day to day and interacting with other people and children, adults, spouses, friends, family, I don't care who it is. Just by living, just by getting up every day and putting yourself out in the world and going about your business, being the beautiful human being that you are, and marching your way through this crazy path we call life, you will be exposed to new things. You will find new interests. You will find new hobbies. You will find other things to let go of sometimes. But don't worry that if you let go of the other stuff, that the new stuff and new growth is never going to show up. You have to let go of that old stuff sometimes for the new growth to get there, right? So that's how our personal seasons work. Just like the trees, you have to let go of the old stuff, let go of the leaves, right? Then you can see further. You can see more clearly. You can see the forest beyond the trees, so to speak. You can see further into the woods. You can see more about yourself. You can see more about what's around you. And that's fantastic. And then once you get through that little stage, you can say, okay, the dead stuff is gone. The old obligations, the old commitments are gone. Now it's time for new stuff to take its place. And you can do that. You can jump right along and get on your little bandwagon and say, here we go. We're going to start down the path of life again. And those new things will pop up. That new growth will start to show up. Those little new ideas and little new seeds will show up in your life, and you'll foster them and let them grow. Because the things you're interested in, you can give your time and attention to now and let them grow. And the reason you can give your time and attention to them is because you have let go of the other stuff that doesn't matter anymore. All the dead stuff now you've pulled away and let fall onto the ground and get mulched up by the proverbial lawnmower of life, right? And taken away just like the leaves. So now you can have that clarity where you say, okay, this is awesome. I was able to see things around me. I had really, really broad sweeping clarity. I know what it means to let go of the things I no longer want to pursue or spend my time on. And now we can get to a point where we're going to walk back into growth. And even when we're growing now, right? I said when the leaves were on the trees in the summertime, I couldn't see as much. So sometimes when we're growing, we don't have as much visibility because now we have new stuff to focus on and we can't necessarily see all the other things that are around us, or we might not be able to see the other things that we might need to let go of. But the great news is, the cool thing is, when you're growing, you're in a state of motion, right? both physically because you're getting up every day and taking a shower and brushing your teeth and going to work and going to sports and going to the kids' school and going to the grocery store and doing all the things we do as people. You're physically in motion, but you are also emotionally and mentally in motion because you're learning and you're growing. And that motion and that forward progression means that you're trying. And so even though you can't always see what you could see when everything got stripped away, right? You might not be able to see everything you could before in your fall season when things went away. That's okay, because now we are surrounded by new things in our life. New leaves have showed up on the trees, new beautiful things to let grow and let foster and nurture them to turn them into big and beautiful things. And that's a beautiful thing. And so you'll have different times when you can see different things in your life. And you'll have different times in your life when you feel like you are growing or sometimes feel like you are pulling things or culling things away. Both of those are okay. You know, and sometimes, I think so often, we fight against the natural cycle of our own growth. We really do. Sometimes as people, man, we're stubborn and just get in our own way. And I think that's because we want the clarity that comes in the fall season, and we want the growth that comes in the spring season, and we want them all at once, and then we want the view of the leaves in the summertime when things are beautiful, and we want the view through the leaves when they've kind of fallen to the ground and they're out of the way. We want everything as people, right? But that's not how life works, and, well, it's not how nature works either. So you have to remember we need both. There are seasons to release and to see farther, and there are seasons to grow and live fully in the thick of it, right? And both of those have value, and both of those have beauty. So if you are in a season of letting go right now, maybe things feel kind of bare or kind of uncertain. If they do me a favor. Just hold on. The clarity that you're gaining is a gift. It's a beautiful, beautiful gift. And don't take it for granted. If you say, you know what, man, things feel really empty right now because I gave up this, or I ended this friendship, or I ended this commitment, or I stepped down from this committee, or this marriage or this relationship ended, or I don't do the things I used to do anymore. I don't belong to this club. I don't this. I don't that. I know it can feel empty, but you got to just hang in there. Right? Because the clarity that you are getting now is a gift, because when there's no noise in your brain from all the other things going on in your life, you have time to think about you and about your life and about what makes you happy. And I challenge you and encourage you to dig down deep and ask yourself that hard question. What is it in this life that I could spend my time on that would make me so, so happy? And it's never a perfect scenario, I know, because we're all thinking, well, I have to work and I have a job that I like but don't love, okay? Put that on pause for a second. Ask yourself the hard question. I've let all this stuff fall away. I've let all this stuff go by the wayside. All the leaves have hit the ground. They're out of the way. I can see clearly now. I can see further down the road of my life. What do I want to do? What do I want to spend my time on? And don't be indecisive. Just tell yourself. Be brutally honest. It's okay if it doesn't make sense right away. But use that season of clarity to see the things that you really can see and really enjoy that clarity while it's there. Now, if you are in the season of growth, that's also fantastic. If you're a little worried because you can't quite see as far, that's okay. Because when you say, well, I can't quite see as far, I'm a little more busy now, I don't have all this time to just sit and reflect, that's a good thing. Because if you think about it, life can feel full and it can feel alive. And I want you to cherish that too, because then you are living in the bloom of life, right? The new leaves have shown up, the buds have sprouted, the leaves have gotten here. You're like, okay, we're doing the things now. And in my life, this was crazy. You know, I had all these things I spent my time on. And my burnout journey, we're going to do a whole episode on the parts of the burnout journey. And this is one of the reasons I love speaking about this. So walking back from burnout, I discovered so many things. One of the big two-part things that I discovered was that I didn't just need to step away from things that I felt no longer served me and, say, oh, I'm too busy, so I need to cut back on the commitments to free up the calendar, so to speak. I obviously had to do that. But I got to a point where with the fire department, I said, I gave up a whole bunch of stuff. I have a lot more free time. I'm still doing the things I think that I love and enjoy, but my situation in the fire department had gotten to a point where I didn't enjoy it anymore. That was the second part. I didn't just need to be less busy and get rid of the things that took up so much time on my calendar. I also needed to cull away and pull away and get rid of the things that I was still showing up for that didn't make me feel happy or fulfilled or wholesome anymore. I was showing up and saying, yes, this has always brought me joy. I've done this forever. I have done this for 26 years of my life. I said, well, I can't give this up because I love it. I want to spend my time and energy on it. But the really difficult truth was, the terribly hard truth was, that even though I wanted to spend my time on that type of organization, where I was at the time was still draining me. It was still leading to my burnout emotionally, physically, mentally. All of it was just pulling so much stuff out of me that I couldn't stay anymore. And so take the time to look at those things. And that's when that clarity can show up and be really, really important because, when my leaves fell, so to speak, when I freed up some time on my calendar, I got rid of so many commitments on my plate. I could say, wow, I have so much free time now to look at my life and look at the things I want to spend my energy on. I said, I want to do this, 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 and this. I want to speak. I want to coach. I want to podcast. I want to, be in the fire department. I want to be there for my kids all the time, be a great family man and family person. That's the stuff, man. That's what I want to do with my energy. But I had to really stare at that and use that moment of clarity to look at that and say, okay, well, where's the new growth going to come in? And are you still really, really feeling burned out? And the answer to that was yeah, because that one commitment, even though I wanted to show up for it in that specific department, wasn't working anymore. And I had to go. And so I pulled that away too. And that's perfectly okay to do too, all right? So remember, whether you are growing and you're in that season of new growth or you're in the season of letting go right now and you kind of feel bare and uncertain, both of them are progress. And they're both part of the same journey, of the bigger journey, all right? And that's really, really good because I want you to take a minute and think, what in your life is ready to fall away right now? What's no longer serving the person you are becoming, not the person you are, because let's face it, the person you are ends today, right now. And as soon as tomorrow starts, you need to become a new person, right? The old saying goes, you only have to compare yourself to you yesterday. The only person you have to outdo is you yesterday. The only person you have to be better than is you yesterday. And Jim Rohn said it, he said you can change whenever you want to. He said, and if you take a look at the last 5 years, right, you can choose right now to change. You can choose tomorrow or right this minute to take one small step or one big step to make things different. And if you don't change anything and you keep doing things exactly the same, you will know exactly what the next 5 years will look like because Jim Rohn said, just take a look at the last 5. So use this to your advantage, okay? Because I want you to look beyond what can fall away, okay? Figure out what in your life is ready to fall away, what is no longer serving the person you are becoming, and then when you look beyond that, I want you to think about what new growth might be waiting just beyond those bare branches, just on the other side of that tree you couldn't see past before. What's there for you? And that can be really exciting. When you answer that question for yourself, you can get a whole new sense of trajectory of your life and also a sense of excitement like, hey, now I have some time and energy to do this thing I've always wanted to do. And that's really beautiful because you might be surprised how far you can see within your own life once you get rid of all the stuff that needs to go. You might be absolutely amazed. Once I let go of one thing on my plate, it was like this domino effect. I was like, oh, wow, that felt really good. Well, I want space for this now. And so I said, I've let go of something else. And I said, well, now I want space for this. And then I said, wow, look at how abundant my life could be. And look at how much I could serve myself. And then in turn, once I felt fulfilled myself, then I could keep serving other people from a place of fulfillment in that full cup analogy, right? But you have to see what is there around you. And to do that, you have to let go of some stuff, okay? So listen, as we close, the seasons of life teach us some things, right? Change isn't loss. Change is all part of life. Change is necessary. And change can be scary, I know, but it can be really, really beautiful. Because remember, change and letting go doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're making room for what's next, okay? Don't confuse those two. Letting go of something doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're making space for something else beautiful that can come in the future, okay? So wherever you are today, whether you're watching things fall away or you're feeling something new begin, I hope you can find peace in both of those things. And give yourself some credit. You're doing a good job, okay? Keep marching down the path you're on. Consistency, consistency, consistency is a beautiful thing. Consistency beats intensity every time, okay? 10 times out of 10. I want to wish you the courage to let your leaves fall. And I want to wish you the faith to trust the new ones that will grow in their place. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. If this message resonated with you, come join the conversation on my Instagram chat channel. Something I started recently to try to give you guys this version of motivation on a daily basis or at least a weekly basis. We talk about all those kinds of things. So if you go to Instagram, Todd W. Hiller is my username, just like it is on TikTok. No spaces, Todd W. Hiller, 2 D's in Todd, 2 L's in Hiller. Right up there in the top of my status bar there on my profile page, there'll be something that says Todd Talk Daily Motivation, for your life ahead or whatever it says. Find it and click it. I'd love to have you join my channel. It would mean the world to me to see you over there celebrating with me while you walk through your new life and kind of take on the many adventures that we have as people. As always, if you've enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone you might think that needs this little reminder today, that every season has its beauty. Thank you also for your support, for your likes, for your comments, for the DMs, for reaching out to me. I will always appreciate feedback, and it never ceases to amaze me and humble me and flatter me when you all reach out and tell me that the words that you're listening to come out of my podcast have had a positive impact or a positive effect on your life. It means the world to me. It really, really does. Until next time, my friends, keep growing, keep letting go, and keep seeing the beauty in everything you do. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to Todd Talk. If you've liked what you've heard, please go ahead and subscribe and follow along so you don't miss any updates or new episodes. Thanks very much and enjoy the rest of your day.